Hello everyone and welcome to another video on Tana. This time I'll try a little bit different. Instead of going into a specific feature, I'll just gonna play with Tana for a bit and see what comes up. So in one of my previous videos, I told you I was planning a trip to Japan. And one of the things I just want to show you of how I would sort of approach something like this. Um, and partially, I've already showed some videos where I went into it, but now I'll just go and we'll do like half an hour or something like that and see where we end up. It will probably be less scripted, or probably stuff will go wrong and I'll have to look things up. But I guess that's fine. Okay, so in these cases, the first thing I would always do is like to create a project or something. Like, this is like my Tana video space, so I don't have everything here yet. But apparently, I do have a project folder. In this case, I would go in there. So there's a couple of stuff in there that I'm like use also myself. Like tracking a project will make it show up in my open projects, and I have a status there. So let's use what we got and say, hey, it's in progress. So the first thing that I was planning to do is like, hey, when are we gonna go? So I want to stay for like a month. So let's do some stuff with GTP. What is the best time to go to Japan? And let's ask GTP for this. This is just one of the ways to do it, by the way. Like one of the things that was recently released, and I'm actually not quite sure if it will actually make it in the final release, but I'll show it anyway, is that you can also do something like, you can start the line with AI and say, what is the nicest city in Japan? And then you get this nice ask GTP command afterwards. I guess it's just an alternative, so you can just keep typing. So, the best time to visit Japan, depending on some preferences, is in March to May or autumn. So, in this case, it's probably not. Even though it says summer, let's assume that we're going in May. It's going to be an expensive trip if we're actually going in May because I'll have to book a last-minute flight in like a week. But say, let's go the entire month of May. Okay, cool. So, our goal is to find a trip or find a flight actually somewhere between, say, May 1 and the end of May. So let's add a field, like the timeline. And the timeline is going to be a date field. Let's upgrade this to the project. And there we go. And we'll make a date. And that's about it. Then we'll insert a date. And the cool stuff now is that with these date ranges that we recently got, I can actually say, hey, I want to go from May 1 until May 31. Okay, cool. And there you see this nice timeline here. Okay, so in order to decide when to fly, of course, we will have to go through Google Maps or Google Flights or something like that. But let's say, let's go to Google. Google.com/flights. Oh, I think it's flights. Oh, I misspelled Google with double L. That's also interesting. Flights. There we go. I live near Amsterdam, or actually I don't live near Amsterdam, but Amsterdam is the closest airport from me. And let's say we're going somewhere in Japan. For now, I don't actually care. Google is already trying to suggestively hint that probably May 1 is going to be a very expensive trip. But let's see if we just can go the entire month and explore. Let's see. So we have a lot of options. All reasonably expensive. Not too bad. It's about what you would expect. It's a round trip. Let's go to Tokyo, I would say. Yeah. Let's start in Tokyo. Okay, so let's view the flights, and we have an option. So in this case, let's say, hey, I haven't decided yet, and I wanna sort of cover some of these in my Tana. So instead of like constantly going and seeing these things, I'm gonna take this one and I'm actually gonna drop this image in Tana here, so we can have something to work with. So this is the basic stuff. So we're gonna, for instance, have a list of available flights. And instead of this, let's make this into a show view options and make this into a table. We'll do the, let's say this is in Amsterdam to Tokyo. What is Tokyo? NRT. NRT. And what would be I think we'll have the airline. What do we have here? This is the duration. This would be useful, I think. And how many is it's like what a type? Like, let's say, how many stops? And of course, the price. So from here, we'll go and see. This is going to be a number. The amount of stops, let's make that a number 2. The duration, let's keep that as a plain text thing, and the airline is probably a plain field. But let's make that into a field where we actually have an instance of something and an instance of an airline. So that's actually the tag we added in one of the previous videos, which will help me selecting this. So this is an airline. So China Airline, China Eastern. China Eastern. And you can already see, hey, this is the Tana Magic, right? Hey, this is an airline. It's a duration of around 17.5 hours. Oh, I'm not there. There we go. 17.5 hours. It has 1 stop, and the price is 961. So this would be my my entry flight. So going from Amsterdam to NRT and going back. At around 961 stuff. But of course, we're planning for a nice month-time trip, and let's see what other flights we're actually going to be needing. So for now, do we have any other options in there that are appealing? So we have something from Etihad, 32 hours. Probably not. There's something a little bit shorter, but everything is more expensive, so I don't think there's a reason to keep looking on. Let's go ahead, and we're probably gonna perhaps book this one later on. So next up is let's go to Google Maps a bit, and look at Japan. There we go, Japan. I'm secretly showing my location here, but that's fine. It's not too accurate. And there we have Japan. And so we're flying into Tokyo, and one of the things I really wanted to do is also go to Okinawa, and I think it's around here, yeah, in Okinawa. And another part is that probably if we're going to stay there for like a couple of weeks, there's a thing in Japan. There's a rail pass. You can actually do almost unlimited travel, or actually unlimited travel for a couple of weeks or as long as you want. So let's say, hey, we want to visit a couple of cities here and try and make a little bit of a travel plan and make Okinawa part of that. So let's ask GTP. That's AI. Okay, make a plan for 4 weeks in Japan using the rail pass, but I want to visit Okinawa. There we go. Oh, that is not an automatic button. There we go. And let's see what it comes up with. Now, hopefully, this will actually show me some useful information here. So far, I haven't done that much with AI yet, except for just use it for small stuff. You can also notice that it's taking a little bit more time, and it probably is because it's spitting out quite a bit of more extra text underwater. So we'll get quite a chunk, I'm guessing. Usually when you ask him a story like this, it will end up wanting to tell you a story. This is actually taking a very long time. Ah, there we go. See, it's returning an entire sort of itinerary. So a 4-year trip, and they say Tokyo, Kyoto, Hiroshima, Osaka, Okinawa, Nara, Hakone, Tokyo. Again, of course, because we have to go back to Tokyo. Cool. Such a suggestion, and Okinawa is there. So apparently we have to fly from Osaka to Okinawa. So first off, let's add another flight here. But in this case, I don't know the actual airport names of these, so it might be fun to try and see if we can actually make a list of spots that we want to visit. So list of cities to visit. And now I am very lazy, so I would love to be able to sort of see if what are the cities that are inside of this. So if we go here and we say ask GTP to list all cities named one line per city. Let's see what it actually comes up with. Because now actually I have to sort of get these by hand, and I'm too lazy for that. I'm going to make a table out of this too. So these are cities, and here we have the list of cities that are actually in here. We're going to just paste these in here, and we're also going to bring the reference nodes here. So in this case, we can just remove all of this other stuff. And again, we don't need to sort of copy paste every little one out of there. So one of the things is I don't know the airport shortcode. So in this case, I'm going to go in and make this an AI field. And since I have some experience with AI fields, I'm just going to use a custom prompt, because if I don't, it's going to spit out quite a long story, and I just want that specific airport shortcut. So in this case, give me the airport shortcode for the following city, and then we have this little piece of magic. Only output the shortcode if there are multiple, separate them by a new line. And let's give them an example. Input, we just learned Tokyo. Output NRT, I believe. So input outputs. There we go. Now, officially, you don't need to have this one anymore because I'm also putting it there. But let's see how it actually does. I'm quite confident that this will actually just work. So let's see. There we go. And of course, here we can see that Tokyo has quite a bit of them. And it's still outputting a lot of this text. Oh well, this is like output only output a shortcode. If there's multiple, separate them by a new line. Let's go to do this. Let's make it a little bit let's separate these. If there are multiple, separate them by a line. Output, nothing more. And my spelling is actually still great. Input, output. Okay, let's go back. This is actually a great example where I should have used the workbench. But yeah, when I just press this button here, it will just override anything. I'm sorry you didn't provide the name of the city. Oh, that's also interesting. So at this point, I'm getting a little bit sick of it, and I did. Oh, here we go. Example this, and then give me output for the following city again. Input, output. It's always a new challenge. Let's try it one more time. And if it doesn't, there we go. There are no airports. The nearest airport is in, okay, so that's great. So let's just do nothing. Let's keep it empty there. There's no airport in Nara. The nearest is Kansas. Okay, there's no airport in Nakane. So, of course, I could fix this by changing this column or this field and say, hey, if you don't have an airport nearby, just output nothing, which is totally fine. But this is actually what I wanted, because now we saw that there was a flight that I needed to take from, I think, Osaka, yes, and then fly from Osaka to Okinawa. So Osaka would be Kix, also unguessable, to Okinawa, which is Oka, which is more in line with what I would have expected. So let's say if I make 4 weeks, so week 1, week 2, week 3, I want to have this this flight. So let's go and go back here. Of course, now we're gonna do Kix to Okea in the 3rd week of May. A few flights. That's not that bad. There we go. In the 3rd week of May. So let's say we're gonna stay there for a week. What does it actually suggest? We're gonna do exactly what the AI says. So yeah, so in week 3, actually it doesn't say. We have to do both Okinawa and Nara in week 3. So we can sort of pick a bit what do we want to do. Let's say we're gonna stay there for there. And we'll spend the weekend in Nara. Again, we're just gonna copy this because I am too lazy to switch tabs all the time. Copy it, and we will put it on top of that one. By the way, if you want to know what I use here, it's an app called CleanShot to make the screenshots, and it's really great because if you make a screenshot, it actually pops up in the bottom of your screen, so you can actually keep these things. Even if you have like multiple screenshots, they sort of stack together. Like if you take this one and then another one, you can see, hey, there's 2. So it's great. It works really well, and especially nice for these kind of little things. So in this case, we have the flight. We're going to take this beautiful Peach airline, which is apparently some airline I never heard about before. It's gonna be around 2.5 hours. It's non-stop, so 0 stops. And it's only 80 bucks, or 80 euros actually. At this point, I am very eager to see what is the total of this thing. And I believe that we can actually add a calculation here. Let's put the sum underneath, and then we can see, hey, so far it's gonna cost me around 1,041 in flights. Cool. I think this is all the airports that we actually need, so we can sort of close these. Let's see. Okay, and there we have these things. One of the cool things is, I think it's more of a toy, and you have to actually have this command, and it has something that you can ask to generate an image with DALL-E. Now, it isn't the greatest image generation library, but I'm sure it will improve over time. And if you want to see what the AI thinks Tokyo looks like, or at least what this sentence looks like, then hopefully it will show a small picture of it, and let's see what it actually comes up with. Oh, okay. Well, I'm probably sure it is Tokyo, given the amount of light in the air. It's not the greatest picture of it, and especially I'm not quite sure what this person is doing there with this T, I hope, in front of him. But again, it's an interesting way that you can quickly get sort of like an image of something. I think if we get better versions of this, it's going to be amazing. So let's say the Japan Rail Pass is, let's see if we can get more information on this. So let's do AI, what is the site for the Japan Rail Pass? And then let's just ask. There we go. And we go to the site of the Japan Rail Pass, which I hope is actually the correct site, given that it's it's giving me a certificate error. I'm not quite sure this is correct, so let's not do that. Interesting. Let's see what Google says. Japan Rail Pass. Doesn't look like the wrong site. So what I want to know is how much is this going to be? So in this case, let's see. What if we want to purchase something? Let's change the language to English. My Japanese is not great. Do we have sort of like a overview. This is how, where, and there's a lot of information about this kind of stuff. But where's the price? About. There we go. Types and prices. Let's say that we want to have the 21-day one, green or ordinary. Let's just pick the cheapest one. Now I could convert this using AI, but I don't think it's the greatest idea given like these things sort of thing. So one of the things I tend to use for that is something like Raycast. Basically, you can just say how much yen is this in euros. I'm doubting this is actually correct because I have this often if you're in Europe, then it says that 66 comma means 66 yen, but it's actually 66,000. So in this case, a real pass is around 451 euros. So let's add that and say, hey, maybe in total we don't want just the flights, but we also want sort of other costs, right? Other costs. Let's also create a table for this. And let's add the Japan Rail Pass in there. Since we already have a price column here, and it was 451, let's see, hey, these are the other costs, and then let's make a search. I think we can remove this because, let's make a search and let's say find notes with field price that has any value as a list. So in this case, my workspace doesn't have any other nodes that have a price. So in this case, this is a good idea. Let's list it in a table, and let's actually, oh, that's the wrong one. Let's go in here, right click there and calculate the sum. So here we have the total cost of everything together. Okay, so now we have a little bit of an overview. And what's next gonna be? So what would be a good next step to look into? So one of the things I noticed is that you can actually go and see and sort of like get this website and see, and you can sort of gather the information on the website into Tana. So in this case, let's do a Japan 3-week trip, and let's say maybe there's a sort of website that comes up. That's here we go, this itinerary. So there's a lot of text here, and one of the things I saw at one point is that you can sort of take this URL and let's see if we can get Tana to extract everything underneath it. So the first thing is that if I paste the URL in there, one of the things that's happening is underwater it's trying to get some information about the URL. I think it's just trying to load the information, but not everything. But yeah, you can see, hey, it's an article and it has these things. So I would say, okay, how can we actually get the information based on this? I'm not sure if there's a standard command for it, but let's see if we can get something working. So one of these things is cool is that let's make a command to sort of like get the HTML page. And let's convert this to a, oh, not a super tag. Convert this to a command node. There we go. Let's do a make an API request. And in this case, we're gonna do the API request on the name. So we're gonna say, hey, probably if we're gonna run this command, we're just gonna do it on there. And then if you add something here, you have some options. And you can see here is that there's an API method and a parse result. And the parse result actually has a very cool feature because by default, it does almost nothing. But you can also say HTML to Tana paste. And let's see if this actually works because I've been having some trouble with it. But so get HTML, get the HTML page. And it says an error fetching the API response. I'm not quite sure why this doesn't work, but maybe that's something that we can look into at some point. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. It doesn't matter whether I put the URL here or there. So yeah, unfortunately, this doesn't work as well. In any case, it's still cool that you can actually go in here and say, okay, let's see what we actually want. So this image looks very nice. So another tool I have is this. I actually forgot what it's called. Let me see. It's Yoink. Yeah, one of the things is very cool is that you can sort of like grab anything on a page and basically you can just dump it in there. And then in that case, you can just move on. Let's see. Oh, that's a nice little image. Let's yoink that in there too. And you can see, hey, there's now 2 images. There's an itinerary. I'm not that interested at this point anymore. So let's remove this website. But we do want both of the images in here. I really like this start. Let's put it as a sort of like a here. Let's put it there. So I have a little bit of a header image. Maybe eventually Tana will support something like this, that you can actually have a nice header image. And then we have this map. Let's put it underneath. So this is one of the basic ways where you can use sort of these things that Tana offers, and use AI to see how you can actually integrate all of these features and to get more and more help in Tana. So one of the things I noticed that, hey, now it would be nice to see, maybe we can get, if we add the date or a date field or a timeline here, then we can also see like, hey, every flight probably has a sort of date, and that's something nice that we can add. So let's add the timeline here. In this case, this is the same timeline that we have here. So let's just copy that one in here because it's basically the same as the project. And this one, I think we decided on something like the third, yeah, I think it was something like this until the weekend, I think, something like that. There we go. And now one of the cooler features is that you can also use this as a calendar. And you can see exactly when your flights are. In this case, it will show it as a longer period, of course. And if you actually make this into a super tag, so this is, for instance, a flight, for instance, like that, then you can also, it will color things up a little bit more because the default gray is a little bit hard to read. So let's also make this into a flight. And then we have 2 flights in the calendar. So it's really cool that you can basically sort of both plan out your holidays and say, hey, what flight am I going to use that at what point, and then use both a calendar view or a table view to sort of bring everything together. I think this is enough for now, where you can see me using Tana for, in this case, planning my trip for a bit. If you guys have any idea like what would be a cool video to show a little bit longer, then just let me know and I'll do it. Thank you.